what's the timely peg? Why are we writing about it now? Why does it matter? Does anybody care about except for this company? Like, what can we learn from this company? So if it's a smaller brand we've never heard of, they better be doing something super outside the box where it's like the brand may not be the compelling thing that they're doing something, but the idea is the compelling thing. And I see a lot of potential here. This could really, if another brand took that idea and ran, I see that they could also be successful. So something has to be unique. And I don't know if I'm answering it, but I do see a lot of like following the trend. I would just say, like, decide who you are and stand your ground. And if it's different than everybody else, so be it. Don't say you're sorry at work. Like, you don't need to say you're sorry. Like, take that out of your vocabulary. If you mess up, and admit that. But like, chances are you did your work, you did what you were supposed to do, and you don't need to be sorry.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 15th edition of Ask Me Anything in Roaring Ladies of E-commerce. Today, we have a super amazing person, and I would say a human being with us, Jill Manoff, and a quick introduction about herself. Jill is the editor-in-chief of Glossy and Modern Retail, where she leads editorial coverage across beauty, fashion, luxury, and retail. With nearly 2 decades across fashion and retail and almost 10 years at Glossy, she has guided conversations around the biggest shift shaping modern commerce and consumer brands today. A very, very warm welcome, Jill, to our community.
Thank you so much. You can do my intros all the time. That was so nice. Thank you.
Amazing, Jill. So let's get started. Jump on to the question. For those who are joining us for the first time and are Ask Me Anything, a quick recap on the agenda. We will first cover the questions that we received during registration. And if we have time left during the end of the conversation, we would cover the questions that you guys may put on chat. So, be absolutely free to whatever thoughts that come into your mind, put that on chat. Even if we are not able to cover that during today's session, we are going to do that over Slack, and Jill would be happy to answer them across. So please do that, guys. So let's get started, Jill.
Great, let's do it.
So the first question to you, Jill, from our audience is, what makes a brand story worth covering?
Ooh, a brand story worth covering. That's interesting. A lot of the times when my reporters are pitching something to me that they want to write about, and if it is kind of just a brand story, I tend to hit them with this question, like what's the timely peg? Why are we writing about it now? Why does it matter? Does anybody care about except for this company? Like, what can we learn from this company? So I'm asking a million questions. One that came across my inbox, actually, and I don't know that you care about these details, but for example, we get pitches all day, all night, as I'm sure you know. And a lot of the times I'm telling my team, like, get out of your inbox, but I want them to be aware of those pitches, because ideally we're picking up on trends that we're seeing across brands, or we're seeing everybody investing in the same strategy. And that's good to know. And that's a story in itself. Anyway, but the fact of the matter is, one came through that I was like, okay, I think that this company is, let's stop and profile it. I don't think that anything is like immediate, like they have a new funding round, or they have this new campaign that's very like innovative. However, right now we know obviously it's a time of a lot of instability and a lot of challenges in the industry. And it was almost just like this great success story. I'll just tell you, it's coming soon to Glossy, but the cosmetics brand Milani is just, it's almost like we don't hear a ton about it, because I do see it on TikTok, but I wouldn't see it's like the splashiest brand. But they had this amazing stat that 18 consecutive quarters of consistent growth, significant growth. And this is not a new company. They've been around a very long time. So I was like, okay, let's dig into what's happening there. They do have some great I know, because I know like Jeremy, their CMO, that like, he's from another direct to consumer brand, like what's changed on their leadership, the leadership front. And I had some questions, like I think that it's worth asking. We never really guarantee a story. But we just have the conversation, and I have a hunch that's going to be a story worth telling. I know the CEO is like moving fast, trying things, innovating, to remain relevant. So I'm excited to tell that story. So I would just say, if you're doing something, for us, we see ourselves as a guide to the industry, and we're B2B, as you know. So folks, we consider us, like, we hope that folks are coming to us to do better at their job. So if it's something that ideally ideally in a normal situation, a company is doing something that others can learn from, that may be a new idea. Also, they're showing success in an idea that's emerging. This is a long time ago now, but during the pandemic, I think that brands were debating whether they should even be on, I would say 2020, not during the pandemic, early 2020, whether they should be on TikTok. And so like when we did a story about like this brand got on TikTok, this is what they're doing, this is how it's benefiting the brand, those stories were like, choom. Okay, where everybody's interested in learning what this company's doing on there that's worthwhile, because they're debating if they should be there. And probably last year, when we were talking about brands that are using AI, which we're still talking about all the time, but early on, they're using it to their advantage. It's not a gimmick. They're implementing it into their operations, or they're finding great efficiencies that are saving them money. We can actually show tangible ways that brands are using AI, even especially larger companies, because we know that that's also especially challenging in terms of parameters and such. So anyway, where we can kind of, I would say, answer the question that's on everyone's mind, like, should we be going there? What's the benefit? That's where we see, and that's not exactly a brand story, but that's what we see as like worthy of coverage. And ideally, we don't focus. I do give it a little more attention when a brand comes across, or I'm talking to somebody from a Gap, because I want to know what they see as worthy of their investment. They are already an authority, but what are they doing to retain that? If it's a smaller brand we've never heard of, they better be doing something super outside the box, where it's like the brand may not be the compelling thing that they're doing something, but the idea is the compelling thing. And I see a lot of potential here. This could really, if another brand took that idea and ran, I see that they could also be successful. So something has to be unique. And also, we were talking ahead of time. And also, ideally, we have this idea exclusively. This idea came to us. It's not rolling out with everybody else at some embargo time because we are a subscription-based business. So anyway, we want to have the exclusive content. But ideally, we're uncovering this based on our many conversations with brand founders and brand executives. I don't like things that are kind of like served on a platter. Like, this is the story we want to tell, because obviously we're not PR. Anyway, I'm so wordy.
Amazing, Jill. I actually have two follow-up questions on this. First one would be, Jill, if you could, recollect from past any one instance where a small brand was able to, pull off a crazy idea and you covered it so that it gives an example to our community on, what kind of ideas are considered crazy and to be published.
Yes. Oh my God. It wasn't even a brand, and you guys you would all know the name if I said it, and I actually didn't know the name. Hold on. It's going to come to me. I won't waste a lot of time here. But we did a story not too long ago it was on live streaming. And it was a live streamer with a brand. The brand was taking it off like hotcakes. I had never heard of the brand. I had never heard of the streamer. But the fact of the matter is, they were saying they were on TikTok Live 8+ hours a day, every day. Like
Wow.
they never
Wow.
missed a day.
Wow.
And they were doing millions of dollars in sales. They, even in one day, maybe they do six figures easy. And so they just had these compelling numbers and kind of saying like, you want the success, you have to do the work, or in their case, as a young emerging brand. It helps when folks are open and honest with, a lot of people are very tight-lipped or cagey about financial figures, which many times I can understand why. But yes, when people are forthcoming with their success and they can show that in numbers, that will be, that we're more likely to write about that, because people want to know that stuff. We're a business publication as well. I don't know that you would say to Wall Street Journal, like, we can't tell you the revenue. Well, like, yes, you can. Or I like when people say we're a privately held company, so we can't tell you that. Well, that's precisely why you can share that. You can do whatever you want. You're privately held. Anyway, I would just say, yes, the young emerging brand who was a TikToker, and just this compelling story. And that's the best example, and I don't even know the dang name of it, but what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's enough hint and understanding of what kind of crazy idea hits the storyline. Thanks for sharing that, Jill. Another follow-up question I had around that question was, Jill, there are founders who tend to reach out media houses or editors only when they think that there's some article that they want to get published, versus there are founders who build that relationship with media houses and slowly and do that warm connect and get to a place where there's a story that comes out. So what do you think would be the right recommendation to founders?
Yes, I would definitely say play the long game, but I also feel like it shouldn't, if we're doing our job, it shouldn't be all up to you. I'm I'm telling all everybody my business, but I am always on my team's case about like building and maintaining relationships, because we want you to think of us when when you do have I don't know, we don't often do like funding round announcements. I'm just using an example, but like when you do have this piece of news and you want to tell the story, you want to get it out there with one company, or you want to yes, you're going to give us a bit of information that's more breaking news. We want you to think of us. So anyway, those relationships matter. We do have great relationships with a lot of companies, particularly on the beauty side. We started fashion, luxury, and technology. We have since become more known for our beauty content, and it's been tougher, to be honest, on the fashion side, because it's different. It's harder to build those relationships because the authorities are in Europe and part of big conglomerates, and they may not even know Glossy, because we're definitely more focused on the States. We don't have feet on the ground in Europe. So anyway, certain things like that, like we've just kind of like honed in on where we can grow and where those relationships can thrive, and that's been beauty for the last couple of years. And yes, we relationships, we think of you guys when it comes to like, if we know we do a lot with Sephora, like, and we know, wow, Sephora would be an awesome speaker at this summit. Like literally, we don't have to think, how do I get in touch with Sephora? Like we very much know, like, this is our contact. We even probably know the first name of the person that's the best fit for this opportunity and can speak to this best. So anyway, yes, I would say play the long game. Ideally, like, offer up, like, we just so you know, I want to say it, like, it is our job as well to do this, because I like to have quarterly calls with people, but also I would say be patient, because just because I'm catching up with you every quarter, sometimes I'll have a call with somebody and I just want to like see what brands are talking about now. And it's kind of like, and I want you to be able to do that with me, kind of like we're doing in this setting. Like, what are you hearing? I don't mind sharing what I'm hearing. But I also don't love like when's the story coming out after we have a call, and I'm like, I don't know what the story is. So like, there's no story. I'll let you know if I decide to build on part of the conversation for sure. And I'll use you as a source, and I'll probably come back with follow-up questions. But I would just say, like, not every conversation is going to result in a story, because again, small team, only so many stories we can tell. And we definitely, if it's not ultra high impact, or if I didn't like immediately hear what you told me and went like, oh, interesting, then maybe I don't yet see it, and maybe I'll see it later. But anyway, I would just say we're very choosy, I would say.
You have to, given
Yeah.
the appreciation and inspiration that people get from Glossy, every story that ships out has to have that word. So for sure, Jill.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Like, we
Move.
don't always hit it every time, but that's the goal.
Yeah. Amazing, Jill. The second question that our audience shared was, what is the biggest positioning mistake you see beauty brands are making today?
Positioning mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. From a storyline standpoint, or like where they dilute their brand value or authenticity, anything. I believe that's what is meant by this question.
Yes, that makes sense. And I don't know if I'm answering it, but I do see a lot of like following the trend. I would just say, like, decide who you are and stand your ground. And if it's different than everybody else, so be it. And if maybe you'll fit into the trend when it comes around. God, the trend cycle moves fast these days. In the next month, but I see a lot of, like an anti-aging brand, and now they're called a longevity brand because that's the word we're using now for like anti-aging in some cases. And so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I would never think of them as anti-aging. I think of that more so as like a wellness term, or yeah, longevity. So it's interesting to see that word on like skincare nowadays, which I know there are different like elements and peptides and all these things, but it's just
Yeah.
like we all like, and a lot sometimes it's coaxed along by the retailer, but I do like, we all kind of gravitate toward these trends, and that's what the customer is like excited at the time. But then I do hear brands, this is totally like not a little bit off the beaten path, but like on the modern retail side, we just wrote about this company that does a take back program for basically apparel. Like, it's rather than give to a Goodwill or something, they take your stuff, they'll sift it to where it needs to be, but they charge for it. They just started doing this with toys. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, they have tens of thousands of members that they pay a membership fee every month. And these are people who care about sustainability. They found their group, they are growing, they're successful, but I don't know. I guess it depends on your goals. I would just say they're not trying to be something they're not. They found their community who's passionate about what they do, and they've held on, they've held their guns, and that works for them. But anyway, when we're all kind of just following the trend, that I would say that positioning, especially if you pitched me that you were something else last month, and then you're pitching me that you're something else this month, and I'm like, I'm so confused with what this company is. And then it's like, anyway,
Abs-
consistency matters. I don't know if that's the answer to your question, but that's the first thing I thought of.
Who's the one who's creating these trends? Are these retailers? Let's say there was a trend with clean beauty, and like you said,
Yes.
now it's anti-aging. So who's the one who's
Yes.
creating these trends? These are like media houses writing about it, or these are like few bunch of retailers who excel into getting something viral? Like, how does the trend thing work, Jill?
Yes. It's interesting. I think it's working differently nowadays because I think that we talk a lot about like the disintermediation. Anyway, the fact that TikTokers are really defining the trend, and non authorities, quote unquote. So I think it's changing now, and it will continue to change. But I do think, I mean, we've heard a lot, and if you're on this call, we love you, but we do hear that speaking of Sephora, like, yes, like brands are encouraged to, these are our trends of the season. We would love for you to create I don't know, some sort of a serum. Why am I blanking? Anyway, but yes, that they have their big trends of the season that the brands support, and that kind of, it does, they do define the trends, and they are able to do that because they are such an authority, and that's where people get their beauty and their beauty information, a lot. So a lot coming from the retailers, but I do think, as social media continues to change everything. I think years ago we had the question, like, is the influencer marketing bubble going to burst? And that's so silly looking back. I mean, it's obviously changed, but it's like what I'm hearing from the people at Cannes, like the whole conversation is about creators and AI, obviously. But creators matter more than ever, and the move to affiliate partners and nano creators, and how everyone's algorithm is different, and it's less about the mega, more about the, I guess, people with a niche community. But yeah, I think that folks who are authentic and can sell something to the community as being the big thing are setting the trends for their community and everything. There's so many trends now. There's not really even though longevity is decidedly a trend, I feel like there are more trends than the big trends of the seasons than there compared to what it used to be. Yes.
Absolutely. Influencers are the ones who are creating trends these days. I fully agree to that. The next question,
Totally.
Jill, is more, on a personal front, although, professionally, which is, as editor-in-chief, how does your day-to-day look like?
Oh my gosh, I'm going on this podcast called Day in the Life from that Dear Media does, because they're one of our media partners for our Pop NYC event, and they're having me on. And I was like, oh my gosh, we better focus on a day that's not work from home, because it'll be like I get up, I crawl to my computer, and I work, and then I have some snacks. It's very compelling, but it is it's interesting. I don't recommend my like day to day at all, but it works for me. And I think I always say, like, even if I was working on an assembly line or something, like I would make it my life. Like I've always just done that. So our newsletter, because I'm in Central Time, I build them the night before. We have got a Glossy newsletter daily and a modern retail newsletter. And I have to write my little editor's letter up top about like what the big story is or what's on my mind. But then I'm so crazy. Like it goes out at 6 a.m. and that's 5 a.m. my time. I like to take a peek out at edit before it goes out and just like give it a once over. So anyway, I'm up before 5 a.m. and
My
I don't have my first meeting till like 8:30 in the morning. But anyway, that's when I get my best work done. If I'm writing a story, for example, right now I'm writing for our pop vertical, and I don't get a lot of time to write. But I was like, we're in this transition for our pop vertical right now, and I'm like, we need more stories. And that the whole idea for that vertical is how pop culture is shaping fashion and beauty. And just like we were talking about with influencers, that's the whole thing. So we do a lot on influencers, a lot on platforms. But it was just about like, we've been talking a lot about wearables and smart glasses and how like, is this ever going to take off? They keep trying. And the big push this time with the new Meta glasses is this
Yeah.
Kylie shade.
Oh,
And so I'm talking to Eva Chen from Instagram and today. And I got some other sources and some data about kind of the sentiment around these Kylie glasses. So I'm just doing a little story on, but like if Kylie is kind of the golden ticket into making this happen, just because they're chic, they're kind of a bright price point, and it's her. She's so influential. So anyway, that's the story. But I spent a lot of time this morning writing that, because I just know I'm in meetings all damn day, like all day, and I get a Zoom headache, and I'm just here. And I just literally meetings. So it's not just in addition to like meeting with my team. There's a lot of we have Glossy, Modern Retail, and Digiday, sister brands. It started with Digiday. We all kind of spun off of each other, and but we do share like marketing people and events people and business people. And so I'm meeting kind of with awards people. We've got a lot of programs, and so kind of just planning ahead, planning a lot of our events. That's a big portion of our business is our events. And just, I'm sure you've all seen what's happened with media, and there's been layoffs and this and that. And I just feel like we are so lucky, blessed that we have a diversified business model, because there are so many facets of our business, but it does make for a very busy day, a lot of collaboration across departments. End of the day, I'm editing, like after hours, I'm building these newsletters and things, and probably doing outreach for some events. And I'm very hands-on. Like I always feel like, do people think it's weird that the editor-in-chief is like asking them to come speak at the event. I don't know, but we do have people that just do that. But we have these relationships that I think it matters if it comes from me. So I would just say I don't ask my team to do something that I wouldn't do. I'm definitely just like, I don't know, in the weeds all the time. And we get up early and we go to bed like an old granny early. We try, but that's about it. But meetings all day, writing morning is my like productive time.
It's amazing, Jill. Now we all know what it takes to be an editor-in-chief. It's not easy, like doing the work at 5 in the morning and being so hands-on, Jill. It's not an easy thing to do. You're being modest on how you are explaining it, but it takes, it takes a lot of your like it's basically you are dedicating your life to this job in a way.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for not viewing that as sad. I've always been like this. I get that from my dad. But anyway, my
But
life.
But Jill,
So
like
funny.
the journey that you have seen, especially the last 10 years, the decade, it must have come with a lot of challenges, a lot of failures as well, a lot of setbacks. So, what is that one
Yeah.
thing that kept you motivated throughout this journey? I personally would love to get this answer, and even our community would love to understand that.
Yeah, I'm definitely motivated by the people we talk to every day. I get so excited. Like, I don't know, like just talking, having access to the CEO and I feel like I learn so much from our sources every day. And I, again, don't get the most time to do the direct interviewing, but mostly I do at our events. But anyway, I'm learning all the time. Just when it comes to like the 10 years of our company, I always say like never a dull day, but we are evolving all the time and building on where we were talking about the importance of being nimble. We feel the same for sure. And again, we're such a small team. So like where we see traction, we just like, let's try it. And, we've had our podcast that kind of spun off that's been doing it's been doing great. And now we have a beauty podcast and we have our newer, it's been around 5 years now, pop vertical. But we're just trying something new. Like we also have something called campus now, and it's literally, we're by no means an influencer marketing agency, but we have such an influencer community that's from our pop events that they know and love us and trust us, and brands know us, love us and trust us. So we're just like finding like, does it make sense to kind of connect these guys, because anyway, we're there already. So we're just trying some things, and I just think the more that it's interesting and I feel challenged, like I'll just continue to keep at it. But yeah, and it's growing. I would just say we need to keep growing and keep moving forward, and then I'll never be bored. But my God, and our reporting team also so inspiring. When I took on Modern Retail as well, my God, if you don't read Modern Retail in addition to Glossy, it's such smart reporting, and it's all encompassing, obviously, with Amazon and grocery and big box and all the things. We've been really going hard on Walmart versus Amazon and Target's moves and trying to redeem themselves after kind of their DEI scandal there for a minute, but they're doing some exciting things. And hey, they're coming out with the Love Shack fancy line next week or something. Anyway, they're doing very fun things. I feel like they're going to be just fine.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Jill. And Jill, like when it comes to hiring right people in your company, and usually the work that you spoke about, all of these are contribution from the great hires that you do in your company. So tell us about, do you have a framework of hiring right people, or there's like a constitution that you have deployed, when you hire or interview someone? Would love to understand that as well.
Sure. I don't like to I would just say everybody has to do a writing test. I don't care if they've been writing their whole life because, for example, like you'd never know, like when editors are involved, like when we see the end product, like how much that has been shaped by other editors and how much work has gone into getting it to that end goal. So anyway, everybody's always doing a writing test before we even get to that point. When it comes to reporters, I'm like, send me 3 pitches of stories you'd write for Glossy and 3 sources you talk to for each. And that kind of gives me a hint. Like I don't put a lot of like weight on that, other than they have they care enough about this job that they understand what Glossy writes about and what we haven't written about. Like if they just give me something like, I'm like, we just wrote that story yesterday, but okay. I'm like, they're not paying attention. So anyway, it kind of is, can suss out the people that care. Also, I'm so old school. I like you, give me a cover letter. I'm sorry. Don't automate that LinkedIn send out, and also send me a thank you if I've interviewed you. I'm so old school. Like to me, that's a red flag if you spend like 30, 45 minutes talking to somebody and then then you don't hear from them. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so confused. But anyway, I would just say the writing assignment, the writing test, huge. And what else? And I even go through like the editing process with them because um, I don't know, like I know this as a writer myself, I get so, it is kind of a personal thing when you're writing a story. When I've had an editor that kind of would like cut off full paragraphs and like, by the time you turn it in, it's your blood, sweat, and tears. And it's like, you're kind of fall in love with your own words. And so like to have a lot of editing anyway, I like to see kind of the behaviors and making sure that collaboration can happen in a way that it needs to happen. So anyway, that trial run makes sense to me. And then, gosh, I think that it'll be evolving. Like when it comes to evolving, I'm challenging everybody to evolve with the times. We are not where we need to be with social media, for example. And so we've been doing more video and even saying, our social content doesn't necessarily have to be tied to a story that we wrote on the site. Like, let's put out our original content. Like, and I'm in St. Louis. We had a new Aritzia open that was like the talk of the town. But like, I just remember that the CEO during their, I think their latest earnings call was talking about their store rollout strategy and the fact that they're going to new markets that are not LA and New York, and they're looking at, I don't know, Cleveland and kind of St. Louis was mentioned. So I just did a little video and I went to the store and captured it. Anyway, we're trying. That's part of our evolution where traffic to the site and 100% of our efforts focused on stories on the site can no longer happen. That's not how people are consuming media. We are seeing the impact like everybody else, just like it's affecting, AI is impacting traffic to sites, to product pages and all the things, or to home pages. Like we're seeing it on our stories. People are stopping at that AI search synopsis and maybe not proceeding to our site. So what does that mean for us? And again, thankfully, we've got the diversified business model, but where are they getting the news? Like, let's question that and let's continue to be their source to be better at their job, but maybe they're seeing us on Instagram instead or on TikTok. So anyway, we do a lot of events. I always say, should we do like media training? We just throw people up on the stage. We probably should rethink that. It's not required that you like are moderating at our events and such, but it does help in terms of as we evolve. But yeah, all about the writing, all about kind of just getting it in terms of knowing what's a story worth telling. Just like you asked me at the beginning, like what's our definition of a story? If that clicks easy for them, that's great.
Being hands-on, that's in
Yes.
short what I got from it. But yeah, this is great. Jill, and last question that we ask
Yay.
every guest who joins us, Jill, is one piece of advice for everyone who has joined this community, and also specifically targeting to those young, founders who have just started their journey, or, want to achieve something very similar to you, Jill. So what that one piece of advice is going to be.
One piece of advice. I would just say, like, if you are starting something on your own, oh my gosh, I would just say, first of all, congratulations. I would just say, like, it's so bold and brave and awesome. I would just say, I think this is so cliche because everyone says it, but I do agree with it. Just kind of know your strengths and weaknesses. Like if you're building something, because, for example, we're leaning a little bit more into wellness and I'm carving out we're carving out a wellness vertical and debating if we should have a wellness podcast. And we're just seeing great traction there, great interest there. Everything's wellness, they say. Anyway, Lexi Lovesack, our West Coast correspondent, like, I'm like, girl, tell me what's up. Like, she knows everything about peptides. She is in the weeds. This is her passion. It just so happened that we were going there and she's going there at the same time. And I just see her as such a valuable member. I mean, she's always been valuable, but as we try something new, to just know that I can count on her to know what's new. I do that with like all of my reporters. I'm like, you be the expert on this category, but often I know more than they do. So anyway, I see the value of like, anyway, knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, and where the team that you can build around you without over investing or anyway, the importance of being hands-on and being not just nimble, but also streamlined. Like even, us, I think like for a time there, we had a huge team, but I would just say, and things happen. We weren't like laying off or anything, but we're down to, we've got a team of 5 on the Glossy side. We're small and nimble, but I would just say people know like who's writing what stories, where those strengths are. If we need to actually, sometimes we look to a modern retail writer to write a story because they know better than we do when everybody's talking about retail media networks. The Glossy team, who's more writing about marketing campaigns, for example, a specific reporter, we can either like ask them as our source, or we can have them write it for us, or like a collaborative piece. But anyway, knowing your strengths, weaknesses. Somebody gave me good advice that I always say was like my own best piece of advice, which I don't know that applies here, but I always repeat what they told me. And it has nothing to do with like being a bitch and acting like you're right all the time. But I'm very like Midwest kind of nice person, overly nice person, I guess. But like I used to always at work be like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna la 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 la, or oh, you're right, I'm sorry. Like I would always say I'm sorry. She told me, like, my boss at Sears Holdings, I worked internal one time. I was the editor of Sears Style, and I worked at Sears in Chicago. But she said, she's like, don't say you're sorry at work. Like, you don't need to say you're sorry. Like, take that out of your vocabulary. And I took that to mean, and I've said this in a different interview before, but that, I am very conscientious worker. I would never turn something in without knowing it's my best work. Like, honestly, like, own it. Like, if you mess up and admit that. But like, chances are you did your work, you did what you were supposed to do, and you don't need to be sorry. So anyway, that's my favorite thing that I'm like, that was really good advice. And I think about it sometimes when I'm like feeling bad or feeling like, did I mess up? I didn't mess up. No, but they didn't give me the right instructions. So anyway, okay, thank you. I'm rambling officially, but thanks you guys for listening.
That makes a lot of sense. I was also, like somewhere on the internet, I heard, never say I'm sorry. If you're even late for a meeting, do not say I'm sorry. Say thank you for waiting on me. So, yeah.
Oh, I love that. That is good. Yes,
Yeah.
agree.
That's amazing, Jill. Thank you so much for joining in. And I'm pretty sure, not just me, everyone in our community got to learn a lot. For those who are new to the session today, there would be a link from my team to join the community, or we're going to, share the link post the session as well. And if you guys have any further question, I see 2 questions here, which we are going to share on Slack. Jill is part of our Slack community, and she would be more than happy to answer them.
Will do for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks so much. Bye. Thanks for having me.